You have just stepped into the Midlife Revolution, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis, and we're two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we're here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating career shifts, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So buckle up. Let's dive into the Midlife Revolution. Hey, good morning, folks. This is your Midlife Revolution, and I'm Coach Wayne. I help brothers move through their midlife, what we used to call crisis. I don't know if it's a crisis for everyone, but certainly we have challenges in midlife, right? As we age, or as I like to say, as we sage. And so what I help brothers do is move to the second half so that it can be their best half. But I'm not doing this alone. I am joined today with my co-host, Stacy M. Lewis. Hello, Stacy.
Good morning, Coach Wayne. It is always such a pleasure to be here with you and to share this time where we come together just to share some knowledge and drop some nuggets that we believe will help those in our midlife community of color really start to amplify and move forward. And I'm Coach Stacy, and I also serve as a seasoned nonprofit executive, and I love the opportunity of coaching midlife women to thrive. So I'm excited to be here with you today, Coach Wayne.
Hey, Stacy, we had a long weekend for some folk. It was Easter Sunday for us and I say that because it's Easter Sunday everywhere, but in Florida, every shop, every store, every business is open all year round, typically except Thanksgiving and Christmas. So after service, we were very shocked, my wife and I, to find that most of the places that we would normally go to just to browse or look around when we're off on a Sunday, they were closed. They were closed, Stacey. So we were stuck with eating leftovers on Sunday afternoon, I guess. But how was your strong end, not week one?
Well, that's so funny. Yes, I was well aware that things would be closed on what we know as Resurrection Sunday. And so I had the opportunity and the privilege of just being quiet, of spending my time with my one and only son and, cooking some food and just enjoying just all the gifts that life has been giving despite the challenges. So happy Q2, happy spring. It's a great time to be alive.
Wow. We're in Q2 and it is indeed spring. We were chit-chatting before, Stacy, while we were holding to get started about me and my gardening. And this is the time of year, the season that gardeners start putting their seeds in and preparing for harvest. And so one of the challenges that in midlife we have is dealing with a new season. And so, what do we tell folks about this season, Stacy?
This season is the time for renewal, the time for beauty, the time for fresh color, and the time to really look at life and see where are my opportunities to move forward in a way that is fresh, in a way that is new, in a way that is colorful, and in a way that feels on point, on target, and in alignment with where I'm supposed to be.
So I guess we would say that midlife is a time and a season for resurrection.
I love it. I love it because there's so many, this beautiful time in life. There's so many things that we've been through, so much resilience that we've practiced, whether we've been aware or not. That's one of my words. And to really be able to utilize all that we've been through and say, hey, what do I want to do? Where am I going next? Oh, wait, I feel a dream being resurrected. I feel new ideas really coming to life, being born in me. And so this is a great time. Great time.
Yeah, yeah. And Stacy, you and I work with folk around midlife,
Hmm.
and our idea and vision is to push our brethrens and sistrens to another level, because oftentimes we are told there's a narrative that says we start folding up, as it were, 50s, 60s, and even 40s for some folk. They start thinking, oh, we're not as good. We're kind of preparing for the pasture land, to go out there. But the reality is we try to shift the mindset and help people to understand that midlife is really filled with opportunities that we probably would not have seen when we had younger, less experienced eyes.
It really is. And I keep thinking about, some of my friends, and I'm sure some of your friends too, that kind of started their career, say, right out of high school, right? Whether they joined the military or the police force or started a job where they had longevity. There was opportunity for longevity. They've already put in their 25 years, their 30 years, and they're saying, yes, now what's next? I've done that. I got a pension. I have retirement funds. What's next? Still want to live, still want to thrive, still have gifts to share with the world. How do I go about that? And so I think it is a fantastic time to really just appreciate, right, that we're here, we have our right mind, most of us, and there really is opportunity for us to continue to make impact. It's not too late. It's we got things to do, life to live, differences to make.
We're never too old, and it's never too late, unless we quit, unless we give up, unless we just stop.
That's
As long
true.
as we have breath, we
That
can
is
make
true.
something happen. So, Stacy, today I think we wanted to share just how to maximize, because this is really a period of potentiality, and we want to talk about how we can maximize our potentials in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, so that we can ascend, as it were, resurrect, and create a new and better and bolder life for ourselves as we enter what folks consider old age.
Mhm, mhm. Old age.
Yeah,
I'll grapple with that later, because I feel like part of it is, yes, your body is aging. That's the normal part, right? But it is the mindset that decides. I feel like the mindset decides whether you are dealing with old age. That it's that old age mindset, which I currently don't embrace. So
yeah,
I'll wait till I get to my 80s and then see how I feel about the old age mindset.
yes,
I think to the point of maximizing potential, one, I think of the first things is to start where we are, right? That we really need to look at where we are and say, hey, where am I right now? And how close is it to where I want to be? And how do I even think about what's next?
yeah. And that is important. We do an assessment, and in terms of moving forward, or folks who move backwards, the only way you can know your progress or retardation is by evaluating, taking an assessment of where you are right now. And so the first thing that you're saying is we need to just see where we are, meaning, I guess, is this the outcome that we want for ourselves? Is this where we want to be? Have we met our goals? And, the aspirations that we had when we were on the go, younger, and we felt we were more able. So that's the first place to start.
Yes, yes. And I would say not only have we met our goals, are those goals still relevant to us today? Right? We've accomplished some things professionally, personally. Are those goals relevant today? Are those goals relevant to who we are now? Do we need to create or identify some new goals? And for our listening, viewing audience that may not have caught our last episode about swatting your way to success, I think that we really dropped some great nuggets in that about uh, assessing where you are now and really using that as the launch pad to move forward.
I love what you talked about just now, Stacy. Stacy, you mentioned, do we still consider the goals that we had of yesteryear
Mm,
valid and important enough to continue to move forward? Sometimes we're beating a dead horse, as they say. And to go back to my metaphor of gardening,
mm,
this is the time of year as well that you prune the dead branches. You get rid of the winter dried branches and you
right.
till the soil to make it fertile so that you can have greater success in your harvest. I think that's number one. Now, Stacy, I think too, what's important is that we define, and this is a part of the goals piece you spoke about, what our potentials are, right?
Hmm.
So we can look around to see, use our resourcefulness to see the sort of resources that we have available to us at this time.
Yeah, I think really to your point of it takes me right back to last week's episode, right? Of assessing what are the resources you have right now? What do you have available to you that will help you either maximize your current potentials, identify your current potentials, and really assess how you want to move forward. What is it that's important to you now?
Yeah. And we had talked about in previous sessions,
Hmm.
podcast, we talked about the idea of calling on your network, because that helps eventually to determine your net worth. Uh, we have lived decades, and so our lived experience have accumulated with us a certain amount of worth, and the people we met along the way. We can look at those folk, whether we revisit them or we expand our relationships, because those relationships will come in handy as we look at our potential to thrust forward in midlife.
Yeah, the relationships I believe are key, and one of the pieces I believe in maximizing our potential is really utilizing and viewing those relationships in a way that is meaningful and in a way that is helpful to where we are looking to go. And one of the points we talked about, and we'll talk about now as it relates to maximizing your potential and your relationships, is comparison and dealing with comparison in a way where we're reframing it, not necessarily looking at others from that, oh, I wish I were like her, or oh, I should be there now, but really, oh, what are the kind of maybe some of the keys, or let me find out what some of her uh significant shifts were in her thinking that helped her get where she was today. So really looking at comparison in a way that is saying, how can I learn from it as opposed to how can I beat myself up from it? How can I, put myself down because of it? No, we want to really look at comparison like, okay, if this is someplace, if she or he has something I'm looking to achieve. How did they get there?
Yeah,
How can I learn from them or their experience um, in ways that will help me move forward, maximizing my potential?
I love it. And it's okay to have pitfalls. It's part of
Yeah.
the process.
Mm-hmm.
So even as we look out and check the landscape, there are opportunities that we'll see coming from the pitfalls. We
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't feel like we have to resist or stop the process because we fall, which some folks have a misnomer of calling failure. I like to see it in my coaching as feedback. Again,
Mm-hmm.
failure is only when we surrender and say no more and we give up. We fall flat on our face and stay there. I think the idea that when we are doing this assessment and we are thinking about planning for our future
Mm-hmm.
in the present, we must recognize that we are going to have hurdles. We are going to be faced with challenges. But instead of falling as victims, we want to see ourselves in terms of the mindset as victors. So look for the opportunities to take those pitfalls and challenges and barriers as ways of strengthening ourselves, especially Stacy, with all of the years of experience and knowledge that we have had to kind
Mm.
of thrust ourselves and launch forward.
Yeah, I love what you just said about really utilizing, one of my favorite words is resilience, and really utilizing that to say, um, what did I learn in those, in those what they call failures or setbacks? What did I learn? What did I learn about the situation? What did I learn about me? What did I learn about my ability to more immediately reframe how how to take that experience and use it as a stepping stone. And I think far too often we're really looking at, um, our setbacks, our failures as failures.
Yes.
And I'm really trying to train myself and as I coach women to say, like, you learn or you win. You win, you learn. You don't fail. You
Yes.
don't fail.
Yes. Every outing is a feedback. Thank you, Dr. Audrey. She shared that we can't climb smooth mountains, right? We have to definitely have cracks and fissures,
Yeah,
place to
yeah.
hold on to so we can climb. So that builds up some muscles for us.
To,
Thank you.
to get to the top. That's right. You say, I'll see you at the top, right?
And speaking about the pitfalls, the feedback, the fissures and rocks along the mountain climb as
Mm-hmm.
we ascend to our new heights in midlife, we must recognize that habits, we
Mm.
have to build habits like building muscles. We have to build new habits and shed the ones that had not been serving us in the past. So our behavior has to take on oftentimes a new lease based on where we are as we account for where we are and where we want to be.
And Wayne, I know one thing that you wrote a bit of a book, right? That talks about some of these nuggets, and so we want to make sure that we share that with our listening and viewing audience. Um, when it comes to habits, I think before the outward habits really kick in, right? The outward behaviors kick in. It is the habit of how we are addressing those negative thoughts or those thought patterns that may not be serving us. What is the habit we can jump into that begins to combat, to reframe, to dismantle those negative thoughts? And for me, that habit of immediately confronting that thought. And for some of us, for those of us that in the Christian faith, I don't know about other faiths, but there's scripture that talks about combating, holding, pulling hostage, pulling down those things that try to rise themselves up against what God is saying about us and who we are. And it is that habit for me that really was a transitional time for me to, kind of come out of the wallow, the woe, the negative comparison and say, wait a minute, that thought, those things that are running around in my mind are not necessarily true. And so the habit of identifying the lie that was happening in my mind, in my thinking, and constantly confronting that, to me was for me was a game changer. And my hope is that for those of us in our community that are really looking to thrive, move forward, that we begin to encourage each other to dismantle those negative thoughts in ways that allow us to move forward.
Bam, you said it there, Stacy. That's the reason why we do the work we do. It's a calling. We've been called in to do this work. And folk who are stuck, habits are take sometimes years to be formed. And it takes a while to break some of these habits as well. And oftentimes to break habits, bad habits, or habits that are not really serving us anymore, non-serving habits, we typically could use some help. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where coaching
Mm-hmm.
comes in, right? Therapist, coaching, depending where you are. And one of the things that we help people to do is to reframe the thinking in terms of what the habit meant, which is probably, if it's not serving you, a limiting belief about
Right.
how it is used. And we break those habits, and people can find different modalities to identify, to get quiet, can be prayerful, can be meditative, to get quiet
Mm-hmm.
and truly do the internal research, as it were, to be beckoned in terms of your next step, and be honest with yourself
Mm.
in terms of, this is a thing. If you're struggling with a particular habit, you have to firstly be hardcore and honest with yourself, to kick yourself in the butt, as it were, to make a call for help.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so good. The honesty, the habit of honesty, right? I think we might have to coin a new phrase, unless it exists already, but the habit of self honesty, right? Of being honest with yourself about where you are, and being honest with yourself about, I'm sure we can identify how we got there, but it is what is at the core, what is our core thinking, what is our core belief that is holding us back, that is holding us down. And you talk about utilizing feedback, right? That when someone says something about you, maybe there are opportunities to lower the blinders that we often have on about ourselves, to allow us to be honest with ourselves, right? So that when someone says, no, I experience you as very reactive, right? Reactive in a way that's emotionally reactive. And as opposed to me saying like, well, no, I don't respond that way. That's not me. That's not, maybe I need to listen to that and receive that in a way that's not judging myself, but that is honest with myself about maybe how I show up, or how I'm feeling about myself, and how that causes me to show up. I love your use of the word honesty, and really being honest with yourself. I think that's critical.
You know, it spirals all to the fears that we have that prevents us oftentimes from taking that step or launching. So, when we talk about doing the assessment and committing to change, and we talk about taking on, letting go of some of the old stuff, pruning so that we can prosper. We talk about creating new habits and getting the help we need sometimes to move through those barriers. The thing that stops us from getting ahead in all of these is FEAR, the dreaded F word, right? The dreaded F word, fear. False
Yes, the
expectations.
dreaded F word. Yes.
Absolutely. False
Yes.
expectations that appear real. And fear shows up in many ways. It shows up as procrastination. It
Yeah.
shows up as being late. It shows up, we are afraid to be rejected. We are afraid to
Mhm.
lose. We're afraid that we're not measuring up to those competition that you talk about. So yes, Stacy, we need to bust through our fears.
The fear. Whew. Yeah. It also shows up as not showing up, right?
Yeah.
Shows up as us showing up, but not speaking up. Shows up in so many ways. And it is such a something that can often hold us back. And, I've heard, and I'm sure many in our viewership have heard that, that false evidence appearing real. But when you even spend just a minute looking at those words, false evidence, that knowing that a lot of the things that we're telling ourselves that we are practicing are based on false evidence.
Yeah.
And we know, we all watch, Law and Order and all these legal shows. When the evidence is not real, it has no weight. It doesn't stand up in court.
Yeah.
Yet the evidence, the false evidence that we embrace, so to speak, right? We allow to stand up in the court of our mind. And it is amazing. And we have to continually remind ourselves, no matter how much we've grown and have arrived, or no matter how successful we are, we have to really take a look at, is there false evidence that is happening in my mind, in my thinking, that is holding me back?
Yeah.
And how am I going to confront? What habit am I going to engage
Yeah.
that is going to confront, tamp down this false evidence?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
We're winding down, Stacy. I'd like to shamelessly plug my free ebook, which is available to folk by DMing me on any of the handles, which will show up at the end of this broadcast, at the outro, and or visiting my website at viptransformativeliving.com. And it's Breaking Free, Discover Your Power, Purpose, and Prosperity in Midlife. And it just points out some of these things that we're talking about, right? Helping folks to go through them. And so I'd like to invite folks to get one of these copies and go through. Stacy,
Yeah.
our takeaway today in terms of what actions we would like for folk listening in to take around maximizing their potential. And you have the last word.
Absolutely. I would say the number one, well, no, I'll give you 3 takeaways, right? Start where you are. Let go of the fear and engage habits that help you move forward into your highest potential.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Stacy, we're going to do this again next week. Same
So
time,
good.
same place. And we're going to make sure that this is a march of resurrection, planting new seeds, and moving forward. So until we meet again, this is
Yes.
Coach Wayne, and
I'm Coach Stacy. We'll see your gardens.
thank you. And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution. Hey, we truly appreciate you spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
Don't forget, if today's episode resonated with you, share your thoughts and suggest topics in the comments. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.